He is. Gabe Dean, welcome to Meeting of the Minds.
Oh, no, glad to be here.
Yeah, how's everything going since we last spoke?
Yeah, it's good, man. Just been chipping away at Cornell and taking care of our program in the best way we can. So just been getting after it. How's everything over there?
Good. In the Corona capital, pretty much the same stuff here. Not much going on.
Yeah, just doing what you can, right?
That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
What have they been doing over at Cornell?
Oh, we kind of had to put a halt in our building project. We're in the middle of a $5 million expansion on the Freeman Wrestling Center right now. So, but it looks like that's going to open back up here on Monday. So we're excited about that. And then we've all just been working remotely, recruiting, and doing those kind of things right now. So it's been a lot of fun.
All right, good, good. Yeah, it's the same thing. It's just figuring out whatever you can do, making the best of the situation.
Well, I think it goes back to wrestling, right? You control what you can control. You let the rest take care of itself. So, when all this hit, it just had to kind of reevaluate what was in our control and what we could do, and we just get after it that way. And I think, and I saw a tweet, I'm like, that said, if you haven't started that new hobby or gotten that thing that you've always wanted to do and get it done, then what kind of use of your time are you making? So,
Right, exactly.
Being creative and working hard and making sure we're staying in touch with our guys and recruiting and getting the right kids to Cornell. So that's what we've been working on.
Yeah, do the guys seem like they've been staying positive during this whole mess?
Yeah, we're lucky to have great leadership on our team. So, our captains and then obviously, our staff, we stay in touch with these guys on a regular basis, make sure they're doing well. There's always, maybe a couple guys that were struggling a little bit at first, but just to have their teammates there to pick them up when they're down, and to have this whole program with all the support. I've been on a few alumni calls that have been fun, just like Zoom calls, and our program is very positive, and we're lucky to be part of a really positive atmosphere here at Cornell.
Yeah, definitely. I've been saying for a while, Cornell's doing things right.
Yeah.
Bringing out some of the best in the country, pretty much year in and year out.
Yeah, our culture is based upon, you have to have talent and you have to have great wrestlers, but also, it's extremely important to have great character. And, we recruit that way. We bring kids into our program that way, and we make sure that, these kids are, have a big picture with the rest of their life, want to take care of the rest of their life, and not just focus solely on wrestling. Except we're biased. We like when sometimes it's more swayed that way, but the kids come to Cornell because they not only want to be part of a great wrestling program and accomplish their wrestling goals, but also be part of a great future and build their career and be a part of a great network and a great family. So
yeah, absolutely. I feel like we should be pointing everyone towards the dean's list, and they're great. They're great. We do, because we spoke for a while the other day or whatever, a couple weeks ago, I guess. And that was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, there was a great podcast. It was awesome to have you on and just to get your insight, and what you've been able to do at Wrestling Mindset and what you're doing for these athletes is phenomenal. I started the podcast kind of for fun, but it ended up being kind of catching wind, and I'm just glad that I can produce great content for people to listen to and have people like yourself on. So
yeah, absolutely. All the podcasts. Great. I see Dan's here. I'm going to give him a wave right here. Click the little button right there. But yeah, we communicated the other day. We because he's another one I could speak to for hours.
Oh man, Dan's just a wonderful guy. He's impacting our program and everything that we're doing, on different levels. I mean, just the state of the art human being, and lucky to call him a great friend and a brother. So
yeah,
just a good man. But I saw a question down here. It was like, what my kind of mindset, what my parents teaching me growing up, and the big thing for me and my brother Max and our parents, they approach sport as a foundation tool to teach. It's not something that's based upon results, but wrestling was something that was a teaching tool for them to create adversity in our lives and for us to come back and learn from that adversity. So, everybody thinks adversity, there's a negative connotation that comes with adversity and failure and these words, but they're really good for the development of young men and young women. So it's good for us to go through those processes and experience those things at a young age as we continue to grow and develop physically and mentally. So that's what my parents kind of approached. They used sports as when we were kids.
Oh, that's awesome. Really good stuff. And then how about making that transition from high school to college, where all of a sudden, boom, it's like you were right there and in the hunt. And right, wasn't Ruth was in your weight, right? He was, what was he, a junior or senior?
Yeah, I mean, Ed Ruth was a senior, and yeah, he was on an 84 match win streak when we met in the Scuffle finals. But the big thing for the big thing, for that year was that jump. That first year that I was in college, it was really tough. I never won an open tournament. I took a gap year between my high school year and college, and I never even won an open tournament. Highest I think I took was second at the Millersville Open. So, I usually wrestle like 7 or 8 matches because I'd lose first round and have to wrestle all the way back. But the good thing, like I said, it provided a foundation of adversity for me to come back. There was plenty of times where I felt like having a negative attitude and I was down in the dumps. And, I was lucky to have the right mentors and the right coaches around me to pick me up and bring me back. And, I was just got through that year and then got organized at Cornell. And once I got organized, I had the foundation behind me, and I had great coaching, great resources, and we went to work. So yeah.
That's awesome. Now, like, what advice do you give to a kid when they come out on the scene and they go up against someone who is like unbeatable, right? We always see that person. We always see that, and a lot of people put them on a pedestal. And then there are some guys who pull off the upset. What separates those people? How are you able to mentally whip up what you needed to do?
So I think the big thing is that, when I was going into the match and all the big matches that I had in my life, the time when I competed the best was when I wasn't focused on trying to control the outcome. I remember going to the Ed Ruth match, and, it was a tall order, right? He pinned me like 2 months before that in the Binghamton Open, and, he was a beast. And, I just remember saying to Damien before the match, I'm like, I'm not getting pinned. I'm like, I don't care if I get tagged. I don't care if I get majored. I don't care if he, kills me, but I am not getting pinned. And that was my goal that match. I was like, I am not going to get pinned. And sure enough, as each period went on and I was focused on just trying to, be, stingy and controlling my effort and not worrying about the outcome. And I was just thinking about, like, hey, I'm not going to get pinned. Sure enough, it put me in a better position to win. And, when that shows to prove, like winning and losing, everybody wants to win, like nobody wants to lose. But we're not in control of that. That's the biggest thing. You're not in control of an outcome. At the end of the day, you could walk onto the mat and you could get headlocked and pinned in the first 5 seconds and you would lose. So you're never in control of what exactly happens, but you're in control of every single thing that you can prepare. So your sleep, your nutrition, the way that you live your life, your social life, your studying, your books, like all those kind of things, in your effort, you're in complete control of those things. So that's where I put my focus, and that's kind of where I took my pride from. And I learned that throughout, kind of my adverse moments in my young college career. And I had to remind myself of that too. It's not like once I just figured it out, I just never looked back. I was just like perfect after that. There's times where, you get caught up in distractions by life and those kind of things where you have to kind of pull yourself back and be ready and focus on those things that are in your control. So effort in the things that you can control and taking the pride from that is the most important piece, because that will set you up for the best chance possible.
Yeah, absolutely. What are some of the things they do at Cornell in terms of the coaches and getting the guys ready mentally, whether it's in practice or after practice? What are some of the things you guys do?
Well, we never start practice until someone gets up and tells a joke. So we won't start. We literally will not start practice until someone gets up and tells a joke. And I think our big approach at Cornell, and what we talk to the guys after is, like we do a good amount of goal setting, but the biggest thing is like wrestling's a very like taxing sport. It's very personal. It's very hard, and it wears on you. Not just physically but mentally. And the biggest thing that we teach, our guys at Cornell, and that we want them to take from this is the same thing I think kind of my parents, hey, this is an experience. This is a journey. It's not a destination. We want you to approach it that way. So there is going to be hard times. Like one of the first things we tell our freshmen, like when they get here, it's like, hey, you're going to experience some really hard moments here. There's no doubt about it. But you're going to have to not only be accountable to, the things that you can fix, but you're going to have to also be coachable and allow us to help you through them. So one of the first things that we do when we have freshmen here is we have a real honest, open conversation, not just with them, but with their parents. Hey, let us coach, the parents, and let us teach, and you guys be the parents. And that's something that's really important because you set a foundation. You set these boundaries and these guidelines so that we're not coming across confusing to the kid, because ultimately his development as a young man is the most important thing. And obviously we want to maximize his potential in wrestling, but the most important part is to develop this human being. It's not just a wrestler.
Right.
So that's the biggest thing at Cornell. We have very open, honest conversations. We want to be transparent. We want these guys to feel like they can come and talk about anything with us, and we set that foundation right away when they're freshmen.
That's big. And like I said, getting the parents on the same page too, that's important. A lot of people think that stops after high school.
Well, we talked about that. I mean, you part of your program is it has a deal with a portion with the parents, because they're your parents. Your unconditional love. They supported you your whole life. A lot of times in wrestling, the dad has been coaching them. And maybe even mom. I don't know. I haven't seen quite that many instances with mom, but a lot of times that that's the case. And that when they're being passed off, and not only the parent has to have complete trust in the program and the coaches and the staff that they're passing them off to, but also the kid does, in order for it to work. If there's any doubt, if there's any second guessing, if there's not complete transparency, then that turns into a huge issue. So, when they come to Cornell, it's important that we set those boundaries. We make sure their parents understand. We make sure they understand, like, okay, they're your parents and they always will be. We're not trying to replace them, but we're your coaches. And that's really important to have that transparent conversation when they get to Cornell.
Yeah, absolutely. What would you say some of the biggest mistakes are that kids have, or that, maybe a bad approach they take versus maybe a guy who's going to take it to the next level? Because they all hit that adversity, right? And maybe we already answered this question, but what do you think are maybe some of the big mistakes kids make coming into college right after being a stud in high school?
I think one of the biggest mistakes is one easy mistake, and we don't have it really at Cornell, but just talking in typical, is they get caught up in a very extreme social life. I always say you have three choices, and you can pick two of them, and it's your social life, your academics, and your wrestling. And like a lot of kids get caught up in the social life, the freedom. They're in college, they're independent now. Nobody's telling them when to go to bed. Nobody's telling them what to eat. Nobody's hovering over them. So that's one thing. And then I'd say another issue and mistakes that kids make is they run into a little roadblock, and maybe they were the man in high school. You get really high level kids that are freaking animals, and I don't care how good you are in high school, you're gonna struggle. Like, you are going to struggle at the next level. It's just the way it is. So They hit into a roadblock. Well, they've been the man their whole life, and all of a sudden they're experiencing a really extreme moment where maybe not even they're getting beat up by a starter, but they're getting beat up by a second or third string guy, and all of a sudden, bam, like the answer is to quit. And that's really important, because quitting's easy, right? Quitting's a very easy route, but in the longevity of the thing, it's very terrible for the development of the person. So you have to create a foundation in the athlete's mind that adversity is actually a very good process for them to go through. So when they hit that roadblock, which they're going to, there's no doubt about it, they're going to hit it no matter what. There has to be a foundation and precedent set that adversity is very good for them. So when they get there, they recognize that, they remember those open, transparent conversations about those moments. And then you're there for them to guide them along, just kind of like my parents did for me as a kid. When I'd experienced a really extreme moment, I had a bad practice, I got a bad test grade, things didn't go my way. Damian Hahn, Mike Gray, Rob Cole, these guys were there as mentors for me to come to, and I knew and confidently I could come and talk to them because they had instilled that trust into me. They had been always transparent with me as between coach and athlete, and I trusted them with all my heart. So then I was able to develop better. And that's just one of the other issues, is like, if you don't have that kind of a trusting relationship with your athlete, when they bump into that adverse moment, they just want to quit right away, and they just want to give up. But if you have that very foundation, that very strong foundation set, and that trusting relationship with that athlete, then you're able to work through those things, and they come to you for advice in those moments, and you're able to guide them through it.
Right. right? As opposed to hiding it from the coach because maybe they're going to overreact or they just don't have that relationship, that foundation.
Exactly. You know, I do not believe in negative reinforcement. I think it's the worst thing, worst way to mentor, coach, anything. Like negative reinforcement doesn't do anything but just hurt the relationship between parent and, parent and child, athlete and coach, whatever the relationship is. Negative reinforcement is 99.9% of never the answer. So we're not, and I'm not saying positive reinforcement always is the answer.
Right.
I think a mix of positive reinforcement and honesty is the best because, in the moment, the kid might not want to hear the honest truth, but it's actually really good for them and they need to hear it. So that's the huge thing is like these kids, like sometimes the hardest conversations are the best conversations to have. And, but coming down on them and yelling at them and telling them that they're no good or that they suck or that any of those things. And I see it all the time. I see it at youth wrestling tournaments all the time. And it's sad between parents and kids is never, ever the right answer. I will take that to the grave, man. I don't think negative reinforcement is the right answer. I just think it hurts that trust that is so imperative to that relationship in order for it to move forward.
Yeah, it destroys them as a wrestler and much more important just in life in general, right? Like how's that helping?
As a person, like I said, when we tell when our kids come to Cornell, we're there to help develop them as young men, not just wrestlers. So, any kind of a thing that would destroy that trust, that has to be the number one foundation of any relationship, compromises the rest, not just their wrestling, but also their development as a human being. Like no kid can ever feel isolated. He needs to feel like he's becoming and he's an integral part of a family wherever he is in order for there to be a really healthy culture. So you never want to make an athlete feel isolated. And I really strongly believe that one of those ways is to use negative reinforcement.
Yeah. And, you hit on a really good point there before about honesty. You said positivity and honesty. And it's one of those things where a lot of times in our society, we kind of have it like honesty all of a sudden means negative. No, honesty is a good thing. Honesty is positivity, right? If it's coming from a place of love, a place of sincerity, you want people to be honest with you. Like that's a good thing. So it's not just because someone's being honest, a little blunt with you, doesn't mean they're coming down hard on you or being negative or doesn't like you.
No, honestly, like any great athlete will appreciate the honesty. I'm watching this Michael Jordan series that they're playing every Sunday night. And I'll tell you what, man, and Michael Jordan, he might seem like a jerk, but maybe his approach sometimes was not the perfect, but I tell you what, he's really honest. I mean, he tells you exactly how he feels and the way that you're playing and how you need to adjust. And, as an athlete, that's what you want to hear. You don't want to have this super positive, lovey-dovey relationship. That's not going to get you anywhere. And you don't really want to have a negative relationship where you're being told that you're no good and that you need to do this better because you suck at it and those kind of things. You just want to really honor, hey, the way that you're hitting your single leg, you need to do it this way, or else you're not gonna get there as much. Like those conversations need to happen. Honesty is so important, and sometimes it's the hardest thing to do, but it is so important. So
yeah. No, a lot of times we're just trapped in the jail of our minds. Like, well, I don't want to say this because how's the person going to receive it? And look, it's good that we're thinking about the other people. We want other people to feel good about themselves. I'm all about that, of course. But it's like, since when does all of a sudden being honest be equated with negative? And when did being dishonest be associated with being positive? That just doesn't make sense even logically.
Oh, completely. I completely agree. I mean, yeah, you hit the nail on the head. I don't even know what to say because I completely agree.
Yeah, but I just think that like your whole approach, it just seems like, again, like watching you from a distance, it seemed like you always had very good perspective, kept things in their proper place. Look, we're all people, we make mistakes and no one's perfect, but it seemed like overall you were always very even keel, kept that perspective. That's just a huge thing. I mean, I think that's something that's, equally as important as talent, more important than talent.
Well, you talking about perspective?
Just perspective and just staying like even keel, not getting the too high or too low.
Well, yeah, I mean, exactly. And, you can't, if you get too high, guess what? You're going to come down, right? If you get too low, you dig yourself a hole. So the thing is like, yes, you need to enjoy those great moments, those high moments. Like there definitely needs to be an appreciation for those, for all the hard work that's been put in for you to get there. And those low moments, you need to remind yourself. And the biggest thing, one of the biggest things that I believe in is purpose. So like those low moments, you need to have a great sense of a clear understanding of why you're doing what you're doing, because that's what gets you through those low moments. And when you lack purpose, you're really just going through the motions of life. If you don't know why you're getting up every day and doing what you're doing, then you're just going through the motions. You're just kind of, right? I mean, you're not attacking it. When you have purpose and you're clear on why you get out of bed every day, bam, you get up and you're ready to go and you attack that day. And I think a lot of that too is creating really healthy habits and really healthy routines, that go along with that clear why. And I think purpose is a huge thing. Every great athlete, every great CEO or great businessman or great, anybody in their respective profession or what they do has a very clear why. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I think that's big, and that directs, the way you wrestle, the way you compete, and also just the way you carry yourself. Like, I think watching you a lot again, a lot of wins, a lot of times you could have been celebrating or hot dogging it, and I never saw that. I mean, it looked like you enjoyed yourself, like you genuinely enjoyed being there. You were happy, but it wasn't like trying to show up the other guy or, hey, look at me. It never seemed like it was, hey, look at me, which is impressive, especially nowadays.
I mean, I appreciate that. I mean, there's a level of humbleness that you need to keep too. You don't ever want to you don't ever want to be arrogant. It's okay to be confident, but it's not okay to be arrogant. So, we were raised as classy kids. If we ever celebrated or were jumping up or down, sports would have been yanked from us as a kid. So we've been raised. Yeah, it is. We've been raised to be classy and show nothing but respect to our opponents and the people that are across the mat from us or across the field from us or whatever we were playing. It's important to always respect them, even if they're making it personal. You never regret being a really classy individual. You never regret doing the right thing. The times that you struggle with are the ones where you let it get emotional and you end up making the wrong decision. So it's important to just remind yourself, hey, like whether they're making it personal or not, it's important to stay classy. So
that's a big lesson. I hope really people take that to heart, because it's like you know that if you celebrate or you do certain things, it's going to be played on Flow Wrestling. They're media, so they're going to try to like make it into a big show, and then Instagram is going to be blowing up. Everyone's going to be, oh, look at this. You're going to get a lot of people talking about you, but that's just not what it's about.
Well, if you're putting on a big show too, it's like, what, are you surprised that you won? Are you surprised that you're there? Yeah. So it's like, hey, like a real confident guy, like a real confident human being, they're there to take care of business, and they're there, not based, they don't feel like winning was just like a surprise, right? So people that jump up and down and are celebrating like they won the Super Bowl, and all these kind of things after they win, it's just like, hey, were you really surprised that you won? Like, it always kind of raises that red flag with me. I think it's okay to be happy. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, it's okay to enjoy it, but it's really important to be respectful and classy too. And people that jump up and down, to a certain extent, it's like, wow, you must be surprised that you won.
Yeah, that's what I always thought. But again, it's easy to get sucked into that trap, and that goes along with what you said: having a purpose, being your own man, having a good support system, people that are guiding you in the right direction.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It all kind of interconnects. You can't have one piece without the other. And having a really trusting relationship with your coaches and your family and the people that are mentoring you in your life, having a clear purpose on why you're doing that, and then obviously just your character traits along with it, being humble, being accountable, and all those different things are incredibly important. And without them, you might find success, but I don't think that you'll find as much success as you potentially could if you just continue to build all those right areas of your life. And like the biggest thing, and what my purpose is, every day I wake up and I'm very clear on, is like investing into people. Living a life of service, I think is definitely the best way to live. So living a life of service, and that's why I love coaching, and that's why I got into it, is because every day I get to wake up, I get to pour my heart and soul into these guys, and during my career, I came to find out, when I won my national titles, and when I won big events and did things like that, like it felt really good. Don't get me wrong, but the best feelings I've ever had in the sport have been on the coaching side. And when you pour your heart and soul into somebody and they go accomplish that goal or that dream, there's no other feeling in the world like that. Like I tell people all the time, the best moments I've had are definitely from my coaching career and not winning national titles or anything like that. And it's I feel blessed that I get to do it as a job every day, and that Rob Cole and Cornell believed in me to be on their staff. And I'm just super grateful for that, because I get to get up every day and live straight to my purpose and investing in other people and living a life of service. So I've been really lucky, and it's definitely the way to live your life. That's my clear purpose every single day.
That's awesome. I think we call it there. I mean, I don't know how to end it better than that. I mean, that is perfect. Giving back, having that attitude of gratitude, giving to other people. That's great.
Oh,
where can
perfect.
people find more information from you?
You can follow me on Instagram at Gabe Dean. I switched my first letters there on my first and last name, and then.
Wait, you got it. Go ahead.
So,
say that again.
Yeah,
I missed that. I missed that. Yeah.
You can find me on Instagram, on Twitter at Dave Jean. I switched the first two letters, so I kind of had some fun with that. But yeah, Dave Jean. So.
Well, I appreciate the shout out with my name.
Yeah. No, thank you. And you guys are doing a wonderful job. Love what you're doing at Wrestling Mindset. So thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Make sure everyone take a look at the Dean's List. Again, we're talking about a great individual, great wrestler, great person, awesome role model. Thanks a lot, Gabe. Talk to you soon.
Thanks a ton, guys. Have a great one.
Take care.